Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment that you're lost in the wilderness. No map, no guide, just silence. At first, panic sets in. You look around for familiar landmarks, a sign, something to tell you which way to go. But there's nothing. Just you, alone. Now, most of us would see isolation as a punishment, a setback, something to escape from as quickly as possible. But what if it isn't? What if, instead, it's a necessary step towards something greater? What if, in those moments of solitude, something is being built within us? Something we can't yet see. History tells us that some of the most powerful transformations happen in isolation. Before the world sees greatness, there is always a season of quiet preparation. The strongest trees don't grow in crowded forests. They take root in solitude, where they dig deep before they rise high. The greatest leaders, the most profound thinkers, the most impactful visionaries, all of them have had a period where they were pulled away, set apart, placed in an environment where they had no choice but to face themselves, to wrestle with doubt, to find clarity. It's uncomfortable, it's lonely, it's frustrating, and yet it's in these moments that the most important work is done. Not the work people see, but the work within. Strength is built in silence. Conviction is formed in struggle. Clarity is born in stillness. The challenge is that when we're in it, it doesn't feel like preparation, it feels like abandonment. We question, we doubt, we wonder if we're being forgotten. But what if we're not being forgotten at all? What if we're being positioned? What if isolation isn't about separation, but transformation? Breakthroughs don't happen in the noise. They happen when we've been refined, when we've been tested, when we've had the distractions stripped away so that we can hear the one thing we need most: truth. The truth about who we are, the truth about what we're meant to do, the truth about the strength we never knew we had. So, if you find yourself in a season of isolation, don't rush to escape it, don't fight it, don't waste it, lean into it. Because it's in these moments that something greater is being built, something stronger, something unshakable. And when the time comes, when the doors open, when the breakthrough happens, you'll be ready. Isolation is not punishment, it's preparation. It may feel like abandonment, but it's actually positioning you for something greater. Growth happens in solitude. The strongest trees develop deep roots in isolation before they ever rise high. Great leaders experience seasons of separation. History shows that those who make the biggest impact often go through a period of being set apart before stepping into their purpose. Silence builds strength. The work that truly matters happens when no one is watching. This is where conviction, resilience, and clarity are formed. Clarity comes in stillness. When distractions are stripped away, we finally hear the truth about who we are and what we're meant to do. It doesn't feel like preparation when you're in it. It may seem like nothing is happening, but real transformation is often invisible at first. Breakthroughs happen after refinement. Isolation forces us to face our doubts, question our purpose, and emerge stronger and more prepared. Don't rush the process. Trying to escape isolation too soon can mean missing the very growth needed for the next stage. You are not forgotten. Just because no one sees the work being done doesn't mean it isn't valuable. Something is being built in you. When the breakthrough comes, you'll be ready. The time of preparation ensures that when the opportunity arrives, you step into it fully equipped and unshakable. There's a moment in life when everything seems to pause. The noise quiets, the crowd thins, and suddenly you find yourself alone. It's unsettling at first. The mind races with questions. Why is this happening? Did I take a wrong turn? Am I being left behind? But what if the solitude isn't a setback? What if it's the exact environment necessary for something new to be built? Some of the most powerful transformations happen in the unseen, away from applause, away from recognition. The greatest breakthroughs don't start in front of an audience. They begin in hidden places, where refinement happens without distraction. In a world that moves fast, where constant motion is often mistaken for progress, isolation forces stillness. It strips away the unnecessary, leaving only what truly matters. It's in these moments that vision becomes clear, that strength is forged, that a deeper understanding is cultivated. Consider those who have shaped history, those who inspired change. They all had seasons of solitude, moments when they were removed from the familiar, taken away the comfort of certainty. It wasn't punishment, it was a necessary preparation. A sculptor does not marble in front of a crowd. It's delicate and precise work happens in private, where each strike of the chisel is intentional, each removal purposeful. It's a slow process, but one that ensures the final masterpiece is strong, resilient, and ready for its purpose. It's easy to resist isolation, to wish it away, to see it as a burden rather than a gift. But growth is not always visible. Just as roots grow deep before a tree ever breaks through the surface, real transformation happens beneath the surface first. When the world sees the breakthrough, what they don't see is the time spent in solitude, the refining, the shaping, the strengthening. That's the part no one claps for. Yet, it's the most crucial step. So maybe the silence isn't empty, maybe it's full of purpose. Maybe isolation isn't meant to hold you back, it's meant to prepare you. Because when the moment comes, when the doors open, when the opportunity arrives, you won't just be stepping into it, you'll be ready for it. There's something about solitude that forces growth in a way nothing else can. When distractions are removed and the voices of others fade, we're left with one thing: ourselves. It's in these moments that we are confronted with our thoughts, our fears, and our deepest truths. At first, it can feel unsettling, even uncomfortable. But discomfort is often the birthplace of transformation. Nature offers a perfect example. The strongest trees don't grow in crowded forests where they compete for sunlight and nutrients. They thrive in open spaces where their roots are forced to grow deeper to find sustenance, where their trunks must withstand the elements without leaning on others for support. The same is true for us. When we are pulled away from the noise, we are given the opportunity to develop strength from within. Great thinkers, artists, and leaders have all experienced seasons of solitude that shape their greatest work. It's in isolation that ideas are refined, convictions are tested, and vision becomes clear. Without the constant feedback of the world, there is room for authenticity to emerge. There is time to reflect, to challenge assumptions, to understand what truly matters. This is where resilience is built, where character is strengthened, where we learn to trust our own voice. Growth is not always visible at first. Just because no one sees it happening doesn't mean it isn't real. A seed buried in the soil is not stagnant. It's developing unseen, taking root, preparing for the moment it will break through. In the same way, solitude is not an absence of progress. It's where the foundation for something greater is laid. While the world often equates movement with success, real transformation happens in stillness. The strongest minds, the most grounded hearts, and the most impactful lives are shaped not in the spotlight, but in the quiet, unseen moments. Solitude is not empty space. It is the workshop where growth is patiently, powerfully crafted. There comes a time in the journey of every great leader when they must step away from the familiar, away from the noise, and into a space where they are forced to grow in ways they never expected. It is a season of separation, often misunderstood, often uncomfortable, yet absolutely necessary. The path to leadership is rarely crowded because the work that shapes true leaders is done in solitude. History is filled with examples of individuals who were set apart before they stepped into their purpose. Before they led nations, changed industries, or inspired movements, they spent time in isolation, whether by circumstance or by choice. It was in those moments of being removed from the comfort of the crowd that they discovered their strength, refined their vision, and deepened their resolve. It wasn't a delay, it was preparation. Separation is not about distance from people, it is about the development of clarity. A leader who cannot withstand solitude is a leader who is easily swayed by the opinions of others. Time away from external influences forces deep self-reflection, allowing a leader to build an unshakable foundation of purpose. It is in this space that they begin to understand what they truly stand for, what they are willing to fight for, and what they must let go of to move forward. This process can feel lonely, but leadership is often a lonely road, not because leaders reject others, but because they see what others cannot yet see. They carry the weight of vision before it is understood. They bear responsibility before it is acknowledged. They endure doubt before belief takes root. Those who resist separation often find themselves stuck in patterns of familiarity, never stepping fully into the role they were meant to play. But those who embrace it emerge stronger, clearer, and more prepared for the challenges ahead. The world may not recognize the importance of these seasons at the time, but they are the defining moments that shape the kind of leader who can withstand storms, inspire change, and build something that lasts. It is not a step backward. It is the very step that makes forward movement possible. Silence is often mistaken for weakness. In a world that glorifies noise, constant movement, and instant responses, silence can feel uncomfortable, even unnatural. But true strength is not found in how loudly one speaks or how quickly one reacts. It is cultivated in the stillness, where clarity is formed and resilience is built. When everything slows down, when the distractions fade, when the external voices quiet, something powerful happens. Silence forces introspection. It reveals the thoughts that are often drowned out by the chaos of daily life. It is in that space that understanding deepens, where self-awareness grows, and where the mind sharpens. Strength does not come from reacting to every impulse. It comes from mastering the ability to pause, to reflect, to choose the right response rather than the fastest one. Some of the most disciplined individuals in history understood the power of silence. They knew that the ability to control one's emotions, to remain steady in uncertainty, to hold back when the moment is not yet right, these are the marks of true strength. Silence is not inaction, it is preparation. It is the space where conviction is solidified, where patience is tested, and where wisdom is gained. Those who fear silence often struggle with uncertainty. They mistake quiet for emptiness, when in reality, it is in silence that the deepest transformations take place. Just as a storm does not shake a tree with deep roots, a person who has learned to embrace silence stands firm in moments of adversity. The ability to remain calm when others panic, to think before speaking, to listen before responding. These are the qualities that separate those who simply react from those who truly lead. Silence is not weakness, it is a sign of inner strength. It is the training ground where endurance is developed, where focus is sharpened, and where the foundation for greatness is laid. Those who embrace it do not shrink in the face of challenges. They rise above them, steady, unshaken, and prepared for what comes next. In a world that moves at an unrelenting pace, stillness feels unnatural. There is always something demanding attention, always another task to complete, another conversation to engage in, another distraction pulling focus in a dozen directions. Yet, despite all this motion, clarity often remains elusive. Decisions feel rushed, thoughts become scattered, and the noise of everyday life drowns out the very insights that are needed most. Stillness creates space for clarity to emerge. When the external world quiets, the internal world has a chance to speak. It is in moments of pause that the mind can process, reflect, and sift through what is essential and what is merely noise. Ideas that once felt tangled begin to take shape, and the answers that seemed distant suddenly become obvious. It is not about having nothing to do. It is about making room for deeper understanding. Great decisions are rarely made in chaos. Those who lead with wisdom, those who innovate with purpose, those who create with depth, they all understand the value of stepping away, of allowing stillness to provide the perspective that busyness cannot. When the mind is given space to breathe, patterns become clear, priorities realign, and direction becomes certain. Stillness is not a lack of progress, it is the very condition that allows real progress to happen. It is the difference between reacting impulsively and responding with wisdom, between being driven by external pressure and being guided by internal conviction. Those who embrace stillness do not lose their way easily. They move with purpose, act with confidence, and make decisions with the kind of clarity that only comes when the mind has been given the time and space to see things as they truly are. When life feels uncertain, when progress seems invisible, and when the path ahead is unclear, it's easy to believe nothing is happening. It feels like being stuck, like waiting in a space that offers no answers, only frustration. The mind begins to question everything. Why is this taking so long? Why does it feel like everyone else is moving forward while I remain in the same place? But just because movement isn't visible doesn't mean transformation isn't happening. Growth is rarely obvious in the moment. A seed buried in the soil does not appear to be doing anything, yet beneath the surface, roots are forming, strength is being built, and a foundation is being laid. The same is true in life. The seasons that feel stagnant, confusing, and frustrating are often the very ones shaping what comes next. The discomfort is not a sign of failure, it is the tension required for something new to emerge. Every great achievement is preceded by a period of unseen preparation. Athletes train for years before they ever compete on the world stage. Leaders go through trials that test their resilience before they ever step into influence. Innovators wrestle with ideas in solitude long before breakthroughs change the world. In those moments, it does not feel like progress. It feels like it. But in hindsight, it becomes clear that every delay, every setback, and every challenge was refining something essential. Resistance builds strength, silence develops clarity, waiting cultivates patience. The very things that feel like obstacles are often the stepping stones leading towards something greater. What seems like a delay is often the process of being equipped for what's coming next. It rarely feels like preparation in the moment, but when the breakthrough finally comes, it becomes undeniable that every moment was necessary. A breakthrough is never just an isolated moment of success. It is the result of a process, one that often feels long, difficult, and even unfair. Before anything great emerges, it first has to be refined. This process is rarely comfortable, but it is essential. Without refinement, the strength needed to sustain a breakthrough would never develop. Gold is not valuable in its raw form. It must go through fire, intense heat, and pressure to remove impurities and reveal its true worth. The same is true for people. Challenges strip away what is unnecessary, forcing growth in ways that ease and comfort never could. The frustration, the failures, the waiting, all of it is shaping something stronger, something more resilient, something capable of handling the weight of what comes next. Breakthroughs don't happen by accident. They follow seasons of struggle, of testing, of pushing beyond limits. Every setback is refining perseverance. Every obstacle is sharpening focus. Every failure is teaching something that success never could. It is in these moments of refinement that character is built, discipline is strengthened, and clarity is gained. There is a reason why so many of the greatest success stories include long periods of difficulty before the defining moment. The struggle forces preparation. It ensures that when the opportunity arrives, the person stepping into it is ready. Without refinement, a breakthrough would be wasted. Without the struggle, the reward would lack meaning. The difficulty before the breakthrough is not a sign to quit. It is proof that something greater is being prepared. In a world where instant results are often expected, it can be tempting to rush the process. We want to see progress quickly, to skip over the uncomfortable stages and to jump to the end goal as fast as possible. But in doing so, we miss the most important part of the journey, the process itself. Every step, no matter how small, contributes to the larger picture, and rushing through it only weakens the foundation of what is being built. Growth isn't linear. There are moments of clarity followed by confusion, moments of progress followed by setbacks. Trying to speed through the slow parts can create gaps in understanding, gaps in skill, and gaps in character. Just as a tree takes time to grow, spread its roots, and develop strength before it reaches the sky, so too does a person. The roots must dig deep, the trunk must become strong, and the branches must grow at their own pace before they can bear fruit. The process is where the real work happens. It is in the challenges, the failures, and the quiet moments that the most profound transformations occur. Rushing may bring quick results, but they are rarely sustainable. Real success is built on a foundation that takes time to create. If we skip over the hard parts, we are left with something shallow, something that can't withstand the storms that inevitably come. The temptation to rush is often driven by comparison, seeing others move forward and wondering why we aren't at the same point. But every journey is unique. Everyone has their own timeline, their own lessons to learn, and their own process to experience. What may seem like a delay to us could be the exact amount of time needed for preparation, for growth, for clarity. Patience in the process isn't just about waiting. It's about allowing yourself the space to evolve, to learn, to grow. It's about trusting that every part of the journey, no matter how slow or challenging, is shaping you into someone capable of handling the breakthrough that will eventually come. The process, with all its ups and downs, is not an obstacle to success. It is the very thing that makes success possible. Rushing it would only rob you of the depth and resilience that come with time. When you feel like you're standing still while the world seems to be moving ahead, it's easy to start believing that you've been overlooked or forgotten. We all experience moments where progress feels out of reach, where the things we've worked for seem distant, and the recognition we long for remains just beyond grasp. In these times, the mind begins to question, has everything been for nothing? Am I being left behind? But what if the opposite is true? What if these moments of solitude, of feeling forgotten, are actually the most important ones in shaping what is to come? The truth is, just because no one sees the work you're doing, or because things aren't happening as quickly as you expected, doesn't mean you've been forgotten. Often, it's quieter, unseen periods that the most crucial growth and preparation are taking place. We all want to be acknowledged, to be seen, to feel that our efforts matter, and yet sometimes the most significant changes occur when no one is watching. Think of a seed buried in the soil. It isn't forgotten just because it's hidden. In fact, the work it does beneath the surface is what enables it to grow into something strong and lasting. The unseen work, the quiet moments, the time spent building something foundational, it is all part of the journey, and it is all essential. There's a difference between being forgotten and being prepared. In times when it seems like everything is on hold, when the outside world is moving past you, know that you are not being overlooked. You are being positioned, you are being refined, and you are being built into something stronger, something more capable, something that will endure. The world may not always recognize your efforts in the moment, but that does not mean they are without value. Every step you take, every bit of effort you put in, every moment spent building and refining your vision is leading somewhere. The time of preparation, though it may feel like an absence of progress, is actually a critical stage in your journey. So even when it feels like you've been forgotten, know that something is being created in you, something that will eventually surface at just the right time. There are moments in life when everything feels uncertain, when progress feels distant and hard to grasp. In those times, it can be difficult to believe that anything is coming, that change is on the horizon, and that the breakthrough you've been waiting for will ever arrive. But what if the breakthrough isn't just a matter of timing, it's about preparation? What if the struggles, the waiting, the patience that you are enduring now are all quietly preparing you for a moment of impact that you might not see yet, but is coming? The breakthrough isn't always a sudden, dramatic shift. It's often the result of a series of small, sometimes unnoticed steps. It's the accumulation of everything you've been through, the lessons you've learned, and the strength you've built while no one was watching. You may feel as though you're stuck or stagnant, but what's really happening is that you're being refined, strengthened, and equipped for what lies ahead. The struggles you've faced are not in vain. They are shaping you into someone who can handle the opportunity when it finally arrives. When the breakthrough finally comes, it's not an accident. It's the result of everything that led up to it. The quiet moments, the days that felt unproductive, the nights of doubt, the steps forward that felt small, these are the things that have been preparing you. It's in these moments of uncertainty that you're learning resilience, discipline, patience, and clarity. These are the qualities that will make you ready for the moment when everything aligns. It might not feel like progress now, but it doesn't mean you're not being prepared. Breakthroughs require a foundation, and foundations are built with time, effort, and often struggle. The strength to carry your vision forward, the resilience to face challenges head-on, and the wisdom to make the right decisions. All of this is being developed behind the scenes, even when you can't see it. The breakthrough comes when you've learned what you need to learn, when you've built the capacity to manage it, and when you are truly ready for it. It's not just a moment of success, it's a moment when everything aligns because you've put in the work, built the character, and developed the clarity to recognize it when it arrives. And when that moment comes, you'll be ready, prepared in ways you didn't expect, capable of stepping into the opportunity, fully equipped to handle what's ahead. In the end, the journey is never a straight line, nor is it one that can be rushed. Every season of isolation, every moment of struggle, every quiet pause has a purpose in shaping who you are becoming. It's easy to feel overlooked, to doubt the process, or to wonder why things aren't moving faster. But these are the very moments that are building the foundation for something far greater. When the breakthrough comes, and it won't be by chance. It will be because you were prepared. The challenges you faced, the patience you practiced, and the growth you endured have all been quietly setting the stage for the moment you're about to step into. So trust the process, trust the silence, trust the preparation, because when the time is right, you will be ready to rise and embrace the opportunity with strength, clarity, and purpose.